Okay, video 5. Now we're going to create an assembly and we're going to put all of our parts we've created together. So it's new, still metric. This time we're looking for the assembly, MMIM. There it is. No. Standard MMIM. So we're looking for a standard metric assembly. And I'm going to go place all my parts. There we go. Okay, so let's put the base. Right click OK. And I'm going to get the cap. Place it there. Right click OK. And then I'm going to place bushings. And I'm going to push 2 of those. And then I'm going to place bolts. And I'm going to place 6 of those. I noticed I wasn't really worried about where I'm placing them right now. I'm just placing them. All right. Now, right click OK. I want to make these up. So I'm going to use some of my constraint tools. So let's do a constraint. And I'm trying to get the axis. That's all it is. I move my mouse over until I found the axis. And I'm trying to this axis. Now if I look at it, yes, it constrained it to the axis, but it placed it too far down, right? So let's undo. Sometimes you have to play with your different assemblies and constraints until you find the one that works best. All right, so let's constrain this surface to this surface. And let's look at it and see how well does it look. Did it line it up? Well, yeah, I lined it up to that, but it's not quite where we want it to go. So I'm simply going to use another constraint, and I'm going to say that edge to that edge. It's still pretty darn close, but not quite where I want it to go. To that edge. So by using a couple of my mates, see, I was able to put it where it's all lined up nice and pretty, exactly where I want it to go. Okay, now let's do another constraint. To that axis, to this axis. And let's apply and let's see where it looks and see how it did. Come on, let me spin it around. Oh, come on, there it goes. So I look here and I notice that yes, it put it in there, but it recessed it too far back in. So let's try my symbol instead. Come on. No, we don't. We don't want to move it. We want to move this to it. We'll come here, you darn it. Trying to get that axis. There it goes. Now this time it put it in there, but it put it backwards. So you just kind of have to keep at it until it goes in there. There we go. That axis to that axis. Ah, now it's lined up, but it's not quite where it needs to go, but it is lined up, right? That axis to that axis. Okay, very good. Almost everything assembled the way it needs to go. Now I want those essentially eyeballs to go back in flesh, right? So let's just use a simple constraint. I want to spin it around so I make sure that I get the surface that I'm looking for. Because I'm wanting there it goes. I'm wanting to constrain that surface. To that surface. Interesting. Okay, let's cancel. So that's not working the way we wanted to, so let's try instead. Let's try doing a constraint. That's better. Come on. And now let's see if using the constraint instead of the symbol tools, if it'll allow us to that surface to the surface. And let's just do a quick zoom and see how did it work. And yes, it did. See, I used my constraint tool and I just simply constrained those surfaces to surface. So I'm going to repeat that process. Spin it around so that I can see the back side. A bit more. That. To move it over a little bit more so you can see. To that. Apply. Excellent. And then I would just repeat the same process. I'm going to put all my bolts in. All right. Constrain. See how it placed it? And you just continue the process. And you're going to constrain, and you're going to constrain them down to the surface just like we did for the bushings. All right, so after I've constrained and everything's assembled, I have my correct assembly that I need to have. So I need to come in here, and I'm actually going to have a right click and set this as home just so it stays there. So there's my front view, my top view, all right, side view. What does it look like from assembly? There we go, that's right. So let's save this as the assembly. Block assembly. And then you're going to create your new drawing. Make sure it's a metric drawing. And you're going to place it the views, and you're going to dimension it, just like it shows you in the example. So, for example, if I place my base, I don't actually want to start off with a symbol. I would start off with something as simple as just doing the inventor. Oh, there it is. Let's do the base. And whatever views we need. So I'd say create, actually, and I don't need my right side view. Only made the top and the front. And I go find the other one, and you're going to place. So you're going to place all your parts, and then you're going to go and dimension it and label them, and do the title block, everything to match the example. Remember to change the title block. Go to those eye properties, and come right in here and change all that in here, and that'll set it in here. So you're going to go in, you're going to place all your views in the title block, and you're going to dimension them to match the example that's given. And then you're going to save it as a PDF, and you're going to save it into your folder, and you're going to submit that for grading.